How much do you really want to write? Hello and welcome back to my writing journey. I'm Byerrum, author of The Crook Tales for Two novel and The Crime of Fashion Mysteries and Other Tales of Suspense. Today, I'm thinking about how much we really want to write. There are days I ponder why I write and, more importantly, why I stay with it. I have friends who have made great careers with writing and other would-be authors who have dropped it completely. There may be a lot of reasons. I remember a woman from my journalism school dropped out when she found out how much reporters make on small publications. Here's a hint: not nearly enough. Another woman never made it to graduation, even though she swore many times she was going to be an investigative journalist in Washington, D.C. Another friend of mine was waylaid by a drug peddling charge, so it can stall you. Still another had an internship on a large paper and decided that was for the birds. Immediately after graduation, she joined the management program at J.C. Penney's. And I assume she's had a lovely career ever since then, and no more worrying about editors and other reporters. Others I knew spun off into public relations, marketing or advertising, and the ultimate, law school. Remember, being a writer is often like taking a vow of poverty and working for people who don't care how poor you are. You must, as they say, have that fire in the belly. But you don't have to have big, glorious plans to be a writer. There are many other things you could want to write, possibly more satisfying. There are all kinds of writing, from small magazine articles to life-changing scientific tomes. Do you want to write novels, plays, self-help books, children's books, thrillers? Some people are driven to write memoirs, others to pen a family history. Still others want to write recipe books or have a column featured in the local newspaper, even though there are so few newspapers left. I have always been in the business for the stories, finding out things other people don't know, following a story and having a rip-roaring time, or listening to a turn of phrase, meeting a character you've never seen before. I used to do it as a reporter. Now I do it as a writer of plays and novels. However, when I was a young scribe at a horrible daily newspaper, I worked with another reporter hot off the journalism school grind. I had the police beat, the sheriff, city council, county board, and any other news that happened or came my way. You get all the good stories, the other reporter complained one day. She covered the school board and school sports and maybe something else. I do know she did like high school sports, things I would find boring. Crushingly boring. But she generally took weekends off after the Friday night game. Now I agree the police beat might be a bit better for inspiration, especially for a future mystery writer, and you couldn't drag me to a football game. I think the difference between us was that someone would give me a lead on a story, and I would say yes. I was young, remember that. For instance, I walked down the street one day in the most depressing and ugly town in western Colorado that I refer to as Sagebrush, when a local real estate agent screeched to a halt beside me to tell me there was a massage parlor in town. Did I want to see it? What do you think? It was not the kind of luxurious spa we're used to today, with herbal scents in the air and new age music. It was one of those places aimed toward men in a town where there were 10 guys for every woman, and most of the women were married and unavailable. I traveled to the massage parlor, where we found the key to the front door was missing, so we had to crawl through the window so I could interview the semi-scarlet ladies inside. One even told me she had a very understanding mother. The gent managing the business told me when he looked out at the coal stacks on the horizon, all he saw was money. So he took off his business from East Colfax and traveled over the mountains. I wrote my story and we sold every issue. I don't even have one for my own archive. When you're willing to say yes to stories, you have sources calling you on the weekend to tell you a body's been found in Dinosaur National Monument and the sheriff is calling out the posse. Yes, the posse of about 50 overaged volunteers with guns and pickup trucks, and they're gonna search the area. That, to me, was much scarier than the fact that a murderer was out there. The resulting story included a body on a cliff's edge, bird watchers looking for protected peregrine falcons in a national park, and a suspect with a wooden leg who returned to the scene of the crime to kill himself. Unfortunately for him, his gun jammed, so he decided to take a walk, leaving his shotgun in his truck along with a suicide note, indicating there was more than one body at the bottom of the ravine. Because of his wooden leg, he also left uneven footprints, leaving a suspicious trail to his capture and arrest. But the other reporter, she didn't want to work weekends. I agree, it's not all great stories. You also have to write a lot of lesser, boring ones. And if you want to be a writer, really want to be a writer, you might have to fit your ambition around your regular job. My regular job was being a journalist, but my night job was writer of plays, of novels. Luckily, I had a lot of adjectives left over at the end of the day. Even when I was fully employed, I still wrote plays and then novels. And there are moments I may have wanted to write too many things. I've written mysteries, a thriller, a children's picture book, a middle grade mystery, a handful of short stories, and even a book of recipes. Not to mention all those lovely play editions. How badly did I want to be a writer? Pretty desperately, I guess. I can't seem to stop, and I always have a list of future books and plays on my schedule. But here I am, and my advice is, know whether you really want to write, or simply to be able to say you are a writer, and hang with other writers with their patches on their jackets. There are many other ways to make a living, and when you write, know what it is you want to write. It doesn't have to be earth-shaking. It merely has to be yours. That's all I have for now. Have a great week. Like this post, subscribe if you see this on YouTube, and I'll see you next week. Cheers!